Hello, hello. Welcome back to the IRL Internet Girl podcast. As always, it's me, the IRL Internet Girl, Nadia.
I heard black women was the source. Of course, I'm kicking it for all of you and yours. New episode, I don't care, we can rejoice.
If you are watching this, I want to thank you for watching and subscribing to the IRL Internet Girl, all one word, on YouTube. And if you're listening to this, I want to thank you for subscribing to the IRL Internet Girl on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So just to kind of reiterate, I'm going to be doing new episodes every other Sunday. And then the week where there's not a new episode, the visual is going to be available on YouTube. So last week, I was supposed to post a YouTube video of the episode I did the week before that, but the video didn't turn out so well, so we're trying this again. So hopefully when I get in the editing booth, it'll look a little bit better, because I just want to make sure I put out something that's really good and high quality. So I feel like August has just breezed on through. I feel like one moment it was July, and then the next moment it's basically September, and I cannot believe my birthday was like almost 2 months ago now, and I've been 31 for a couple months. Life comes at you fast. So much has been going on. So much has been happening. The DNC just happened, the convention, and I don't know, I actually always thought those events were a little bit more class A. I didn't know they were down to the DNC, doing the Macarena, basically. I remember the RNC happened several weeks ago, and it was Hulk Hogan, and I was like, this is just modern day Republican shenanigans. But then at the DNC, they was cutting the rug too, so I guess they, people do all kind of silly stuff there. There was a man who came in disguise and he got into it with a literal child. He was like some sort of Republican, I don't know his name, and he came in disguise to the DNC and argued with a literal child about whether or not the election was stolen in Georgia. So there's a lot going on. As of right now, J.D. Vance is still the running mate of Donald Trump, with the release of his photos in full drag. I don't know if you really want to call it full drag, because he was missing like foundation and like his wig was busted, but he was in drag. He was in punk rock drag, and everybody calling him weird and saying that he fucked a couch. I wonder if he is going to get a new vice president. RFK Jr. just denounced his running for the presidency, so some people are saying maybe he'll be the VP. Can you even change a vice president that close to the election? The election's only a couple months away. But honestly, I would have never thought any of this would happen. I wouldn't have thought that a major candidate would step down. I am still not fully convinced that Donald Trump himself won't step down, because I don't really think he wants to be the president of the United States of America. I honestly think he kind of did it as a joke, and then he took the joke too far, and now being the president offers him a lot of legal protections. So I'm wondering if it feels like it's a bit that's gone on way too long. I don't even know what they would do if he would drop out. Who would they even have that could possibly take his place? They really don't have nobody. Where's Paul Ryan? We haven't seen Paul Ryan in his face. Remember how he always have his face frowned up? The last time I heard about him, he was hanging out with Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton, so he must be done. I don't think they really have anybody. I guess maybe like Ted Cruz. So we'll see. We'll see what happens when we finally get to the day of the election. But we're not talking about the election and politics today, because frankly it's depressing and upsetting and very sad, and this presidential election has caused a lot of strife and stress between people who should not be beefing, but they are. So let's move on to something with a little bit more tact and class in the American political system. We're going to talk about Ben and Jen. Yes, we're going to talk about Ben and Jen and Jen. So on this podcast earlier, when the movie came out, I did kind of a breakdown on Jennifer Lopez's movie, This Is Me Now. Is that the name of her movie? That was on Amazon Prime. Now, I didn't call it a movie. I called it, and I still refer to it as, a narrative music video. because movies have a beginning, middle, end, characters, dialogue, there's peaks and climaxes, there's all sorts of things in it. This was a vignette. It was scenes stitched together on like a Microsoft PowerPoint, in my opinion. So I always refer to it as a narrative music video, not a movie. Not a movie. So she does this big show, they get married, binging forever, and honestly it warmed my little millennial heart remembering when they first got together. And then of course they had the tragic breakup where they actually never did get married, and then he ended up moving on to another Jennifer Garner, which is also important to my millennial heart because I love the movie Daredevil. So a long time ago in like 2004, there's this movie called Daredevil called Elektra, and she was so cool. And I feel like maybe we had this movie on DVD and I watched it at my grandma's house, and I watched it over and over again. Ben Affleck was this lawyer, and he was blind, and he was also a superhero, and he was like, he had his little like stick and he would take it and beat people up. And then Elektra was like this woman, and she could like do karate and kick people's ass. And there's this iconic scene where something happens and she thinks Daredevil is responsible for killing her father, but it's not, somebody else. And they're playing Evanescence Wake Me Up, and she's got on this red like leather like crop top and like tight pants, and she has all these like bags of sand and they're like falling down, and she's got her like two little knives and she's like throwing the knives and, you know, stabbing the knives, and then like the last sandbag comes down and it's painted with Daredevil's like face on it, and she like stabs it through it, and it's iconic. Colin Farrell is in this movie acting nuts. He plays a character called Bullseye who puts a dart through someone's head. Watch Daredevil. It is so good. Also watch the TV show Daredevil. It's actually good, as in it's good quality, but obviously to see them two go off and get married and then get divorced, it's been a wild ride. So they got back together. Now as of I think like August 20th, Jennifer Lopez has filed for divorce. And the divorce allegedly was filed on the day of their 2-year anniversary. And it is so interesting to me, everyone's reaction to it. They are kind of like our version of Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. I kind of believe that they will get back together. There's certain people that have a magnetism to them, and they'll always be drawn back together over and over and over again. And I kind of think they're not done yet. I'm surprised they didn't stick it out for longer because they made such a big deal. There's a movie and a documentary, and there was a new album, and there were all this fanfare. And there's been a lot of speculation that Ben Affleck didn't like all of that. There's plenty of videos of seeing him at events, at red carpets, looking, I don't know, constipated and upset. I kind of thought he's just kind of grumpy, and he always looks like that. You know, and I didn't watch the documentary, but there is a scene, she mined a lot of their love story for her music and for the documentary and for the narrative music video, and she read aloud love letters that they wrote to each other, and he seemed kind of like upset about it. And I wonder if maybe that was the nail in the coffin. Maybe they realized that they were two very different people, because Ben Affleck is like this acclaimed actor and a director, and he's someone that isn't in the spotlight as much. And J-Lo, everybody knows that she's kind of like Kim Kardashian in that way, where she's always somewhere doing something. And over the past few years, I think post Hustlers and the Vegas residency, she has been doing pretty much anything to keep her name in the press. Remember when she tried to do Love Don't Cost a Thing challenge, and she like posted a video and then it became a thing? And she's kind of been like flopping, and over the recent months she's been really like dragged for being seen as inauthentic and fake. And you know, I think a lot of people are going to blame her for this relationship, because this is literally the 4th time she's been married. I think she should have took advice from Fat Joe the therapist, and if you saw the narrative music video, you know who I'm talking about, and probably went to a couple more Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous meetings, because I think she's one of those, she might be a love or sex addict. But I kind of don't think it's fair to put it all on her. And I kind of have a theory that it's Ben's fault. Mostly because Jennifer has been hanging out with the other Jennifer Garner, and Ben Affleck's best friend, Matt Damon. So there seems to be something going on. And we've also seen Ben with his ex-wife, Jennifer Garner, as well. I think she takes care of him quite a bit. His divorce was kind of precipitated by him going to rehab, and even though they've been broken up, they've been pretty good co-parents, and she has been kind of like his rock, even though they're not married yet, haven't been married. So I find all of that interesting, and to me, he gives the vibe of maybe somebody who didn't really grow up and relied on the women in his life to kind of maybe take care of him. So we'll see. I think people have been hating on Jennifer Lopez, and maybe she deserves it, maybe she doesn't, but this is celebrity. This is what it means to be a celebrity. Quote Andre Leon Talon, it's been a drought of glamour. This is glamour. This is iconery. This is the shit that I want for my celebrities, okay? Chaperone, she got on TikTok or something and was like basically having kind of a breakdown about the fact that she basically went from being like an unknown regular girl to one of the most famous women in pop music, and people are coming up to her and being like, you changed my life, and crying, and she's being overwhelmed about it. And people have been dragging her and saying that she's not meant to be a star. Correction, this is star behavior. Celebrities are crazy, okay? They love the fame, but they hate the fame. They're drawn to the fame, but they want it away. They call the paparazzis and then they complain about it. They have big, over-the-top emotions. They're a little bit delusional. Ben and Jen, that is celebrity. To make us go through this entire remarriage, walking around with the Mrs. Jennifer Affleck Lopez necklace on and having all of these outputs about this relationship and dragging him from here to there just to get a divorce, and just to post all these dazed pictures of you riding on a bicycle and Ben, coming out of an airplane looking confused. That's star power. And that's something these girls don't have, because everybody wants to be #relatable. I don't want my celebrities to be relatable. I like my pop divas and divettes to be a little bit unhinged. I like someone who's going to scream at the paparazzi. I like someone that's going to make an insane video in their house begging people to leave them alone, even though they're the most famous person in the world. I want someone who's been married 3 times to get married a 4th time to their ex-fiance just to get a divorce. That's entertaining, okay? If I wanted to see a relationship that was healthy and made sense, I know people like that in my family. I just look in my celebrity media, I like a little bit of chaos. I'm sorry. Maybe that makes me a bad person. I don't care. Okay? It's just the way I am. So I think these celebrities need to stop being relatable and start getting on Instagram Live and TikTok Live and just going nuts. Do y'all remember before Janae Aiko got back with Big Sean, she was like married to some guy, and she posted all of these, like, it might have been before Instagram stories, but it was either like Snapchat or Instagram stories pointing at the wall, basically like dragging her husband. They got married and I guess they got a divorce. That was fun. That was a fun day on the internet. But anyways, I did a little research. I'm always saying I'm doing research like I'm doing something that's important, but I did a little research on what happened between Ben and Jennifer Gardner to kind of see if there's something I can kind of track. So I went on People magazine, the pop culture encyclopedia, and they had a whole timeline of their relationship, and I don't know, it just seemed like a big part of their situation was his alcoholism. And Ben Affleck said this when he spoke about his divorce on Good Morning America. This was several years ago. He said, "Shame is really toxic. There is no positive byproduct of shame. It's just doing in a toxic, hideous feeling of low self-worth and self-loathing. I drank relatively normally for a long time. What happened was I was drinking more and more, and when my marriage was falling apart. This was 2015, 2016. Then he says he didn't want to get divorced. I didn't want to be a divorced person. I really didn't want to split up my family and children. I think Jennifer Gardner was the only woman he had. I think this was with both their first marriages when they were married. Then he goes on Howard K. Stern, which one day I'm gonna do an expose on Howard K. Stern because I don't like him. I've never, ever liked Howard K. Stern. Ever since I was a little girl, and when his interviews really didn't matter and people would go on and that stuff would matter, I always hated it. I hated the way he treated Anna Nicole Smith. I hated the way he treated all the pop girls. Like, he was just disgusting. And I think he is disgusting, and he looks like he's wearing a wig. And I'm tired of that. Grow up. Why do you have all that black on? Why do you look like that? Why do you act like that? Why do you speak to women that way? Okay, not to be all third wave feminism, but who the hell does he think he is? Is he even a real journalist? All I know is that men go on that show and run their mouth about their sex life. John Mayer went on Howard K. Stern and called Jessica Simpson's sexual napalm, and compared his penis to David Duke. Like, this is the kind of environment you foster. He's the original, like, bro-y podcast, and all of these little people we have now, all of his little evil sons that are going around and doing all these shock jock ass podcasts. The thing is, I don't like people who do things for shock value. I don't like shock jocks, and I don't like shock rappers. I don't like people who say things just to be like, I'm saying it and it's so crazy. No, you're gross. I was recently thinking about Biggie Smalls, and he has some really insane lines on a lot of his songs, and I think a lot of people refer to him as like a shock rapper, and it's like, you're so lame. Like, I don't think you're cool because you wrote a line in your song about raping a then 5-year-old Raven Simone. Like, you're not cool for that. I just think you're a rapist. You know what I mean? But anywho, back to what I was saying. When he went on Howard K. Stern, he said, if he was still married, I'd probably still be drinking. It's a part of why I started drinking, because I was trapped. I can't leave my kids, but I'm not happy. What do I do? What I did was drink a bottle of scotch and fall asleep on the couch, which turned out not to be solutions. So then, of course, everybody was like, are you blaming Jennifer Gardner for you being an alcoholic? And then, so of course, he's come back and said, no, it's all my fault. But you know what? You're a blamer. You're a blamer. You are a blamer. And I don't think that's fair to say your marriage with Jennifer Gardner was so horrible that you had to drink through it. If it was so horrible and so bad, why do we always see y'all hanging out together? What could that nice lady have done to you so bad? I mean, we don't know. We don't know what went on, but it's just something that's such like a cop-out. And I don't know. I'm not ready to say it's the J-Lo curse and that she was just too crazy for him. He strikes me as someone who doesn't really take responsibility for their actions. And I know I'm going off what I know. I don't know the man. I wish them the best. It seems like their children are very close, so I hope that that's still able to be a thing for their kids. But something in the milk isn't clean about Ben Affleck, and I hate to say it. I hope I don't sound ridiculous when I say this. Keep your eyes out. Remember when Brad Pitt and all that stuff with Angelique came out? A lot of these men, I hate to say it, but we've been getting a lot of news on men behaving badly. I would not be surprised if there's some behaving badly. And but what I will say is, to speak to the spirit of Jennifer Lopez, this is just a bump in the road. This is just a chapter in the book that is Jennifer Lopez. She'll be back. And I am on a mission to get her back into movies, good movies. She's been doing a lot of bad movies. We need to get her in an incredible rom-com. And I don't want Netflix or Hulu or Prime Video or Peacock to get their filthy little paws on it, because they don't really know how to produce a rom-com, and they keep putting on these subpar rom-coms that everybody in America has to contend with for months and months at a time. I'm talking about a really good, well-written, heartfelt rom-com. And I don't know who I have to call. Can Greta Gerwig, can she write rom-coms? Like, who do I have to call to get a proper vehicle for Jennifer Lopez? Nancy Myers, can she write something? Can someone do something? Because Jennifer Lopez may not be able to sing, and she may be a liar and an exaggerator, and she may be a love addict, but she is the queen of the rom-coms, and I want that back, okay? Until then, I guess I'll keep watching Wedding Planner, which is my favorite J-Lo movie. Next to the movie Enough, I would also like more movies about women beating up their abusive husbands. That movie taught me everything. I remember as being a little girl watching enough and seeing the ways in which she conspired to kill her abusive husband, and I said, that's the power of a woman right there. So let's get back to that. Moving on to someone who is trying to become a star, but I'm not really sure about her star power, and that would be Miss Sexxy Redd. Now, Sexxy Redd's a very sensitive topic. I remember when she first came out, I was kind of like, this girl is wild. You know, she is rapping about the things that she's rapping about in a very blunt, overtly sexual way. Her name is literally Sexxy Redd. And, you know, she was literally standing in the parking lot of Popeyes with Sukihana doing a rap verse. And she's not some great rapper, but her music is fun. She seemed like a fun girl. She seemed like a real person. You know, she seemed like somebody I would know. And there was something really authentic about that I liked. But a lot of people kind of accused her of being like a minstrel show. And I think that happens a lot with Black people because we don't have minstrel shows the way we used to. So for those who don't know, a long time ago, there was this thing called racism. But a form of entertainment was to have these characters that would mock Black people. So a lot of times it was white people in blackface. They put shoe paws on their face, they painted their lips red, and they acted a fool, and they shucked and jived and ran around and all that kind of stuff. But in some cases, it was Black people who did this themselves. So I think a lot of Black people have a sensitivity to that because that was used to degrade us, to make us look bad, to mock us. I think that haunted a lot of Black people and a lot of Black performers, and of course. So now that we don't have like a minstrel show, a lot of times when Black people in entertainment portray those negative stereotypes, they can get called a minstrel. So Sexxy Redd being this kind of ratchet, ghetto, hypersexual, over the top, ignorant, you know, her lyrics are my coochie pink, my booty hole brown person. A lot of people feel like there's something minstrelly about it, and there may be conspiracies by people that she's perhaps being made to do this, or this is coming from big evil racism and they're kind of like making this product to make a fool of Black people. But there are some people that are loud and are overtly sexual, and I think that is part of our personality. And there was a huge debate of whether or not, even if she's being, let's say she's being her authentic self, she's a girl from St. Louis, she's hood, she raps about the things she raps about, she does the things that she does, that's who she is that still a minstrel? And I honestly don't know, but there's something uncomfortable about pointing to a real person with real lived experience and saying your behavior, who you are, mocks Black people and is a bad representation of Black people. So I felt kind of bad that they were doing that to her, because I believe everyone should be able to be who and how they are. And although I consider many of her behaviors outrageous, and I guess, yes, maybe they fit into a certain stereotypes, there's more to this woman than what she's presenting to us on the internet. There's complexities and there's layers, and she's not showing us that. She doesn't have to. We don't know her. Something that I didn't like, but there was also this feeling of seeing her, you know, for instance, she did a show and she went to a white fraternity, and it was like they had this sea of all white people. You know, I can imagine myself being there in college, the only Black person. I went to a very white school, and everybody's saying the N-word, and I'm the only Black person in there, and people aren't paying me attention, people are knocking me over, people are mistreating me. And then there is this Black performer up there being like a stereotyped version of Blackness and Black culture, and feeling kind of like uncomfortable. And as a Black person, I've had to deal with that. I feel like a lot of Black people feed into respectability politics and don't like when Black people act a certain way because they don't want us to make us look bad. and think that's all that we are. But I don't think that's up to Sexxy Redd or anybody else to do this. And so I just kind of felt like people were being unfair. And then as Sexxy Redd revealed herself, I realized that she has a lot of, it's not just an aesthetic, it's like who she is. She has a lot of ignorance to her. So she has come out and said that she liked Donald Trump, and it has been upsetting, I think, to a lot of people, confusing to many, as when you see black people and not like your typical Candace Owens, Condoleezza Rice, Republican white people, but like what people would consider real black people, quote unquote, people from the hood, people who listen to hip hop. They're very involved in black culture to be Trump supporters. And it doesn't really surprise me because black people are very conservative. You know, we're not a monolith, one, but there's a lot of conservativeness in our community. But the difference is black people, our situation in America with race and racism has been so dire that it has made many black people push their maybe more conservative viewpoints aside to be more liberal and Democrat leaning in order to like get the advancements that we have. But I don't even know if she's necessarily conservative, but I think what happened was during the pandemic, a lot of people got these checks. And I didn't even know about this. So when we got a stimulus check, I have a bank account. I file my taxes with the IRS. When I get, what's that thing you get back? My refund check goes to my bank account. And when I look at it, it says IRS. So I know, okay, that's my tax refund. And then when they did the stimulus check, I saw that on my account. I knew that that was a stimulus check. The IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, the Treasury, like that's where that money was coming from. But for a lot of people who may be poor and disenfranchised, someone maybe like Sexxy Redd who grew up in the hood and maybe didn't have a bank account, a lot of people got literal checks. And Donald Trump fought to have his name on the checks. So when people were getting stimulus checks, and I think there was some people who may have been getting extra unemployment or something depending on your financial circumstances, but when people got that $1,200 check, it said from Donald Trump. And so I think a lot of people viewed that as Donald Trump sent them the money, and there was a lot of misinformation. And what a lot of people don't realize is Congress is the one who gave us that money. They are the ones, Congress has the power of the purse. They're the ones who decide how the money is spent. They created the law which allowed that money to be left out. Donald Trump held it up, and he pretty much only let it go so that he pretty much only signed the bill into law to get his name on it. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. So there is this thing of Donald Trump cares about us because he gave us a check. And there's something like missing that people don't get. And I think she was one of those people that probably did get a check. And I know a lot of people are saying it's not that much money, but to someone that got a lot of people over and is a really big deal for a lot of people who never got that lump sum of money. You know, if you live in an impoverished area, tax refund time is a huge time for a lot of people. And it is the difference between, you know, school clothes for the next year. It's the ability to buy a car cash. So I think that really worked on many people, and not just black people, white people, all kind of people, to think that Donald Trump gave that. And I think maybe because of the way Donald Trump acts, people feel that he's more like a regular person. I think maybe when they see someone like Kamala, even though she is a black woman, maybe the way she speaks or talks or way she holds herself, they don't feel seen by her, represented by her. And somebody like Donald Trump is more like, has a full, it's crazy because he's an elitist. He's a billionaire. I don't know if he's a billionaire, but he's like a rich, way upper class white man. But I think maybe the things that he says and his way of like kind of acting makes people like him, which is not surprising because before he ran for president, he was a reality TV star. There is a level of charisma that make people like him. And so I think that is what's happening. And you know, there's always going to be those people who go against the grain and want to do something a little bit different. And like I said, there may be people that have their own conservative views and values that more maybe align with Donald Trump. You would be surprised how people feel about gay people and immigrants and all kinds of stuff, especially if someone considers himself a religious person. You know, it can go down a dark path. So I still don't think it's fair to call her a minstrel, because once again, she's a real person, just like everybody else. She just happens to be like a very ignorant person who doesn't think things through. And she made those hats make America sexy again. America was never sexy, okay? I think I talked about that earlier. And I don't think she's ignorant because she makes what people would consider vulgar music, or because of how she talks, or what she wears, or how she carries herself. I think she's ignorant because she talks out of her ass. And that is one of those examples of that. And so to me, I think as Black people, we need to be careful that we're not putting those, we can't let our fear of being seen a certain way by white people or the masses make us point the finger at other Black people and say that you need to act like this, you need to act like that. People should act, they should be who they are. But I don't think that is an excuse for being ignorant. And you know, when people like Tyler Perry, or even when Donald Trump was like, you know, Black people will like me because I went to jail, it's a very upsetting misunderstanding of who Black people are, who poor Black people are, that we don't have standards for ourselves, that a Black person can't, that somebody who's a regular working class Black person can't look at a Tyler Perry film and know that it's bad, and that a regular working class, working poor Black person who maybe even has been to prison or has had family members been to prison, not look at Donald Trump and realize like that's a completely different situation and he's a criminal. You see what I mean? It's very upsetting to think that because somebody looks a certain way, you know, just because somebody is involved in hip hop, that they'll just go for anything if you just show somebody with, you know, that has this like Black aesthetic, that these people don't have a standard for what they consider right and wrong. So that's that. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about her lip glosses. So she has come out with a line of lip glosses. I think she's done it before. She kind of has a makeup brand, and it's called Northside Princess, because I guess she's from the north side of St. Louis. I think that's a really cute name and really good brand. I feel like aesthetics like hood princess, that kind of like vibe. I feel like when I was growing up, people would call it ghetto fabulous, but I think our version of it in this day and age would be like hood princess, where it's like I'm a bad girl and I'm like, but I'm still like girly, and you know, I get my hair, my nails done, but I have an attitude. Like I think Northside Princess, I think that could be really cute. I think there's a really good options for branding. I think the fact that she always wears red, like I think she, with the glasses, she always has the glasses, she has an opportunity to make a lot of money off of branding products, because I think she has a very good brand. But my issue with her is like she has no foresight. And so these are the names of her lip glosses: Coochie Juice, Booty Hole Brown, Nut, Pink, Yellow Discharge, Gonorrhea, Blue Balls, and lastly, Sex on My Period. Now, I don't know if Sexxy Redd is out there listening to me, or any other aspiring entrepreneurs, people who want to name things. You've got to take whole out of it. Whole is too sexual. It's too vulgar. And it's fine to have vulgarity in music and things like that, and that does sell, but nobody wants to buy a lip gloss called Gonorrhea. You are not going to be able to put your lip gloss in Sephora, Ulta, Walmart, Target, any place of respectability with the words Yellow Discharge on it, with hole in it. That's too vulgar. It's too vulgar. It's not going to sell. So I'm assuming that she's going to do a direct to consumer, and she probably will make money off of it, but it's like, what is the longevity? The way the world works now is influencers. Are influencers going to get on their TikTok and say, yeah, my lip gloss is booty hole brown? Maybe they do it for one, two, as a joke, but everything can't be a joke. And it's like, don't you want to have longevity? You have an opportunity to make a really cool product and make money and make something that'll last, because let's be honest, the music is not gonna last. The music is not, it's fun, I like to be, you know, but it's not something people aren't, I have a feeling it's not gonna have a lot of longevity. So putting something in business is a good idea, but she just doesn't think about the long term. Like, she did a sponsorship with the vodka, and after she got the money, she was like, actually that vodka was disgusting, and thank you for the money, ha ha ha. And it's like, well, then no other brand's gonna want to work with you, because they know what you do is you trash talk the brand. You see how that's not clicking? You see how that's a bad idea? Like, you feel like you finessed this brand and you got the money now, but like, what about the next brand? So I've come up with alternatives of what she should name her lip gloss. Okay, juice. She should rename that to Pineapple Punch. Okay? Booty Hole Brown. It should be called Pound Town Cinnamon Brown. Once again, she's missing out on a huge thing not naming these after her songs or lyrics in her songs. Anyways. Booty Hole Pink, think I would maybe call it, I would call it like P Power Pink. PPP. That's cute, PPP. And then you can say, like, what do you think it stands for, you know? Leave something to the imagination. Okay, Yellow Discharge. I'm sorry. Is this the name of a lip gloss, or this is a symptom you're describing to your gynecologist, mama? Yellow Discharge. Ski Yellow. Like her song Ski. Ski. Gonorrhea. Why was... She should call it Ghetto Princess. Okay. Blue Balls. She should call it The Blues. Sex on My Period. I'm assuming that is a red. She is red, that's her thing. She should call it Sexxy Redd after herself. Should be her signature color, and she should wear it all the time. And it should be the one that she's pushing the most, and it should be named after her. And lastly but not least, nut should be changed to Coconut Brazy with a B, because she's the blood. What do y'all think? Y'all think that sounds good? Y'all let me know. Sexxy Redd, if you're listening to this, I give you this for free, sister to sister, because I love you that much. Change the names of these lip glosses and get your mind right. I don't know what you need to do. Maybe you need to read some books. I'm gonna start showing up to these girls' homes and giving them I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings, because you all have got to think, put down 48 Laws of Power, pick up I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings. So that's a free doll, and I don't give a lot, I don't do a lot for free, but that's love, that's sisterhood. Okay, let's go on to somebody else that I rarely ever talk about. I don't think I've ever talked about this young man, not once, on this podcast. His name is Lil Yachty. You want to know why I haven't talked about Lil Yachty? I'm 31 years old, okay? Auntie don't want to listen to that. Turn that off. When I hear a Lil Yachty song, I can barely understand what he's saying. Turn it down. Turn it down. I don't want to hear that. But I have been seeing him. He's obviously quite famous. I remember when that song Broccoli with Drum came out. In the club, I'm rolling up my broccoli. And your baby mama finding me. I mean, that was everywhere. Maybe I really don't like him because I don't like that song. And the reason why I don't like that song is because it was like everywhere on the radio, and I had just graduated college and I was really broke, and I was driving around my mom's car like applying for jobs and like trying to figure my life out, and listening to the radio. Maybe streaming didn't exist yet, I don't know. Listening to the radio and that song being on, and driving around the city, you know, trying to get my shit together, picking up my brothers from school, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with my life, and hearing in the club I'm rolling up my broccoli. Like, maybe that's why. So it's not entirely his fault, but I don't want to listen to that. Anywho, I have been seeing him with this young lady named Caribou, which is cute, and she raps very like da 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 da. It's almost as if she's not rapping. It's as if she's saying some words. She is a light-skinned lady. I don't know what her like racial Carfax is. I thought it was just a light-skinned black girl. People have been saying, why is she saying the N-word? Listen, whatever is going on in the world, I'd be looking at people and I'd be like, that person's black. And people are like, well, why are they saying the N-word? And I was like, well, I thought they was black, but then they not black. And then there'd be people who I was like, you're black? You know, so the way I learned how to spot a black person on the playground, you know, I feel like growing up in the South, there was always talks about if somebody was racially ambiguous, if they was black or if they was not. And to me, growing up where I was from, I would see Caribou, I would think that was a black girl. But this is the internet. I wouldn't blink an eye at it. It's like with Kalani with her song Niggas. I once again, I don't have the Carfax on her ethnicity. I thought that was a black woman. I'm so sorry. But what has happened is so many people have been blackfishing that it's messed everything up. But anywho, she had a song, I don't know the name of it. So I guess it's not really a song. It's a freestyle it's On the Radar Concrete Cypher. So I guess Lil Yachty started a music group. So he used to be under Quality Control Records. So I guess he started some sort of group called the Concrete Boys. And she is the, you know, I guess the first lady of the Concrete Boys. Remember when a rapstress would come out and she'd be on an all like male label and she'd be the first lady of, like, Eve was the first lady of Rough Riders? Bring that back. Miss Caribou has unfollowed all of the Concrete Boys off of Instagram. Allegedly somebody went up to her and asked if she was still in the group. She said that she was kicked out. She's 27. I thought she was a lot younger. That she was kicked out and that they were bullying her. Now, I would see these people every now and then. I don't know if anybody is bullying. I really have. It's difficult to me with grown people saying that they're being bullied, but it could be. So Lil Yachty went on live and basically aired her out. Basically saying the song that got you famous, the song that you freestyled on Rap Radar, I wrote the song. If you don't know, Lil Yachty writes a lot of people's music, including Drake, and he's written for the City Girls. He did Act Up. You know, Act Up, you can get smacked up. He wrote that. Same group of bitches, ain't no adding to the picture. He wrote that. So he basically, from what he said, built this group from the ground up. I don't know how he found this young lady, but he wrote all of her lyrics. He decided how she was going to dress. He said that he covered for her that she's like she's a meanie. She goes off on people. She's rude to staff. She's rude to service. But he has decided out of the kindness of his heart that he was going to make this girl a star. And how dare she have anything negative say about him, because basically he made her. This comes off the heels of a podcast that he did. He has a podcast called, I don't know, something or other. It's him and 3 other young boys running their mouth. So on the podcast, I guess maybe somebody called in asking for advice. And the guy, his name is Mitch, and he's this very close friend, said something like, you know, you need to get a job and like something. And Lil Yachty was like, I know you're not talking with your broke ass. He was basically like, how can you tell someone else to get a job and get their life together because you were nothing until I came along. He pretty much says that. He says that, what would you have done if you didn't have a famous friend? And he's pretty much said, like, I put you on, I gave you this podcast. Everything you have is because of me, and you wouldn't have shit if it wasn't for me. This went viral. Everybody's been talking about it. So on his Instagram live or Instagram story rant, he basically is upset at his friend because he wants his friend to come out and defend him and say, we're just playing, it's fine, it doesn't mean anything. And his friend didn't say anything, so he's canceling the podcast and saying that he's never gonna have the podcast again, and basically like, fuck you, I don't want to be your friend anymore, and the money I was giving you through the podcast, well, that's over, and why would I ever want a podcast? I'm a rapper. Like, I don't need this. I did this for you. I did this to put you on. And here's what I'll say. Lil Yachty's in the wrong. I don't care if what you did is true or not. You are always going to look like an asshole if you get up on the internet and tell people, oh, I made this person, and they wouldn't be nothing without me. Whenever you dangle something you did for someone over your head, you might as well have not done it. It makes it moot. It takes all of the props that you want to get from it away because you didn't really want to do it, and it makes you look like an idiot. And it really, to me, makes you look like an idiot because why in the HE double hockey sticks would you sign this girl or the people in the Concrete Boys? These people couldn't rap and they couldn't dress. They couldn't write a rap, they couldn't produce, they couldn't do nothing. And you spent all your time and effort when you could be writing music for other people, making your own music to build up an image of them. Why would you do that? Why would you work with somebody who didn't have nothing? Why would you sign an untalented person? That's a bad business person. That in order for this person to do the things that they need to do and be who they are, you have to pick and choose every single step of the way. That is dumb. That is not the recipe for longevity. That's not what makes somebody a good artist. Why would you do that? Why? If you thought the girl was cute or whatever, why don't you put her, don't you have a clothing line or something? Can't you put her in an outfit? Like, I don't know. It makes you look bad that you have basically been lying to your fans saying you support and you endorse this person when it's basically you out there. Or there's something special and important about this person that you couldn't do by yourself. Because if you could do it and you could write it, why didn't you do it for yourself? Why did you need this young girl or these other boys to do it? Why? Why did you do it? She signed to your record label. Who signed someone to their record label that you know that they have nothing? You're gonna have to pour everything into them to make them a star. Like, that just doesn't sound very smart, and it's not a good way of doing business. And it sounds like you did that so that you get complete control of these people and you can dangle what you're doing over their head and that nobody can say anything to you because you own their career. And then to do that to someone who's supposed to be your best friend, Mitch, to basically say, I didn't want a podcast, I gave you the podcast. Listen, I have a podcast. It's not that hard to put a podcast together. Stop acting like you are, you did something. You're not Norman Lear. It's pretty easy to put a podcast together. I seen it. It's just you and your friends in t-shirts and sweatshirts hanging out, talking on a microphone. Like, it's not that difficult. Somebody else probably edits it, produces it. Somebody else probably does the bookings and puts it together. Like, it's not that difficult. And to act like you're not getting anything out of the podcast, what you're doing is you're keeping your name relevant. Granted, you're a rapper, you write for other people, you probably don't need the money. But what you probably do want and do need is the publicity, because nobody cares about your personal life. And honestly, you haven't had a song that anybody cared about in a very, very long time. You haven't had a song in a very, very long time that people care about, okay? So what you having a podcast does keeps your names out there, keeps your names relevant, keeps you in stuff. It's called diversifying your portfolio. So stop acting as if you did this guy such a big favor if you're just going to hold it over him. You're a jerk. You're a jerk and your music's not that good, okay? Okay. Now, maybe I'm wrong and people are really listening to his music. If somebody's listening to this and they're a huge Lil Yachty fan, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think this just made him look bad, and I don't know. It's just a lot of nerve from someone whose album is called Little Boat 2. You got a lot of nerve. And like, I don't know. There's something very arrogant about it, and it just makes him look bad. And it's like, you prove your point by the way you're acting, why somebody wouldn't want to be around you. Now, you gaveth this man this career, and now you taketh away. And here's the thing. Some of you all aren't good business people. And I think what happens with a lot of these rappers is they get an opportunity to get their own imprint on the label. That's how you make money. You know, that's how someone like Lil Wayne was able to put out Nicki Minaj and Drake and so on and such forth and on and on and on. But you aren't actually good business people, and you don't really care about art and artistry. You don't care about putting out something good. You want to put out something that's going to make you money and get your name out there. So congratulations, you did it. It made you money and it gets your name out there. So why are you acting like you did something so incredible? You wrote a mid-tier level song, and because this was a pretty girl and she was put under your banner, it became popular. You didn't cure cancer, so why are you on Instagram making a fool out of yourself? You look dumb. So best of luck to Mitch, Lil Yachty's old friend, and Miss Caribou, and to Lil Yachty. I won't be listening to the music. All right, y'all, I think I talked enough shit. I'm wrapping this up. Hope everybody has a wonderful and productive week. Any questions, concerns, if you want to send me something, if you have a topic you want me to talk about, you can of course always DM me on Instagram, IRL_internetgirl, but you IRL.internet.girl@gmail.com, IRL.internet.girl@gmail.com. And if you made it this far, comment a little boat. That's all. And yeah, I'll see you guys not next week, but the week after next. Bye.
I heard black women was a source, of course. I'm kicking it for all of you and yours.